Books, 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 books. The problem with getting books from the library is that I go there to get one book, that one book isn't there, so I go and look for other books to get out instead, and I end up getting a lot more than I'd intended. So some of these follow a similar theme, and the only one that I've started reading just now is Will You Love Me by Cathy Glass. In my last book haul I hauled her book Another Forgotten Child, which is a story about a young girl called Amy. Cathy Glass is a foster carer. Her books are about some of the children that she has looked after. This one is actually about her daughter Lucy, who I learned from the other one that she adopted. But this is Lucy's story and how she came about into Cathy Glass's life. She seems to be such a wonderful storyteller, and I'm about a third of the way into this one and I'm really, really enjoying it. These are in no order. The next one, I didn't know it existed, but this is Bloomsbury by Quentin Bell. Quentin Bell being Vanessa Bell's son, Vanessa being Virginia Woolf's sister. Bloomsbury, of course, is about the Bloomsbury group. I don't know kind of what direction it takes, if it's biographical or anything like that, but we have some lovely photos on the inside. Not 100% sure when this was published. Clearly it looks kind of dated. Originally published 1968, this edition was published in 1986. But I love the Bloomsbury group and the Bloomsbury women especially, so I'm really looking forward to seeing just what it's about. Now, I'm a huge poetry fan, so one of my resolutions for 2018 is to read a greater variety of poetry rather than just reading the same poets. And I saw this one, and normally it's not something that I would go for. I do not like contemporary poetry, and I know that people will say it's impossible to dislike an entire genre of poetry because it's always different styles, but as a general rule I've yet to find any contemporary poetry or much contemporary poetry that I like. But this one, Favourite Monster Poems by James Brown, I saw the title and thought I need to check it out because I love monsters, even if I don't necessarily find myself drawn to contemporary poetry. But it looks good. I haven't read any of it, but I've had a tiny flick through it, and it's not so experimental that I feel like it won't be something I'll enjoy. For left, we have kind of the one that I actually intentionally went into the library to get. So this is the poems, or some poems, of Sylvia Plath, collected by Duffy, and I actually went in to try and get a biography of Plath. I watched the film Plath recently, and I did like Sylvia Plath before that. She used to live just down the road from me in Primrose Hill, and as soon as I saw that film I just thought I need to know her story. I need to know who she was, why she was that way, and how she ended up like that. So I went to get a biography. The online catalogue said they had it. I couldn't find it, so I thought, fine, I'll get some of her poems. Why not? Really don't like that cover. And I'll be honest, I've read some of her poems before, and I've read The Bell Jar. I loved The Bell Jar. It's a shame she only wrote one novel. Her poetry, not really for me, but I'm prepared to give it a go. Next up we have three more, and here we have Shakespeare's Measure for Measure. You may know that I'm currently reading Shakespeare, roughly one a month. I'm about 8 or 9 plays in maybe. Measure for Measure is one that I don't really know that much about. I've never seen it. I've never read anything synopsis wise about it, so I'm really going into this one blind, and I think that's going to be a really interesting journey because usually with a lot of the other Shakespeares I've at least known a little bit about it, so I'm keen to see how that one goes. Penultimately, let's go with The Silent Witness by Casey Watson. I recently read another one of Casey Watson's books, the title of which I can't remember, but it will be in one of my recent hauls, and as you can see I'm obsessed with true crime at the moment because I'm writing something where I could get a lot of benefit out of reading true crime, so I thought I'd read it for research purposes, but I've just become so obsessed with it because they're so raw, and the fact that they're true just makes them all the more emotive. But yeah, so this is The Silent Witness, about a little girl, a 12-year-old girl who is placed with a foster home, I believe, around Christmas time. So it sounds like it could be interesting. I don't feel like I could say good, that feels disrespectful, but I think it will be fascinating. And lastly, this one has the best cover. This is Daphne Du Maurier. I didn't go in for this one intentionally. We have Du Maurier on the back. Daphne Du Maurier is one of my all-time favourite novelists. I love her. She used to live just up the hill from me in Cannon Hall in Hampstead, and also the street behind it. And her family are buried in the graveyard up the road she is, and she's down in Cornwall. But I love her. She is my favourite, my joint favourite novelist with Stuart McBride, I think. and I've read biographies about her before, but I haven't read one in quite a while, so I thought, I saw this, it was on a display shelf, recommend reads kind of thing, and I saw it and I just thought, yeah, I haven't read about her in a while, let's give it a go. So I'm very keen to get started with this one as well. Thank you for watching this book haul. If you've read any of those, of course, I'd love to know what you think of them. Any recommendations specifically for thrillers, true crimes, and also horror fiction. One of my resolutions for 2018, as well as reading more poetry, is to read more horror fiction, as I don't read that many actual horrors. So I'd be very keen to hear if you have any that I should check out, and I'll speak to you all soon.